Welcome to Modern Day Woman with Teresa Hawley-Howard. I'm so glad to have you here. Again, we have another wonderful, beautiful woman to share with you why business is meant to be a collaboration and not a competition. I'm so glad she's here. I've been on her show several times, and I'm so blessed to call her my friend. Welcome, welcome. How are you today?
I am doing good. I'm doing good.
Katrina,
what about you?
I'm doing great. Katrina, tell us about your business and what it is you do, and so that they'll know where you're coming from on a point of collaboration.
Okay, well, my company is called WOAW Media and Production. And underneath that umbrella, Teresa, we have a magazine, which is published and printed 6 times a year. And we also have a television talk show, which airs here locally in the Dallas Metroplex and also globally.
And tell us
that is what we do.
Tell us what channel that it's on so that our local listeners can tune into it and when it airs.
Our show airs the first and third Sunday of each month at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it's on 47.2 and also 27 if you have Verizon as your carrier, and that's UA Network. But if you don't have either one of those as your carrier, or you're listening from across the world, you can get us at www.uanetwork.tv, and just click live at the time the show is on.
That's a great, and I've been on the show. It's a wonderful show. You bring beautiful guests to come on and share their testimonies of all that God has done for them. And I know that's how we met, was through a networking group and really collaboration, because helping another woman to achieve her dreams is the most beautiful thing I think you can do. And it really, you don't realize it, but it really helps you to glow brighter, to really walk more in your purpose and your passion when you're helping others to reach their goals and dreams.
Yes, it is. It is. And I love it. I loved all the women that I have met doing this, and just hearing their stories and seeing them go through the trials and come out on top, and then going back and getting other women. That is really what just captures my heart.
Yes, I think that's the key part, that we have to reach back and pull another woman with us. I know that you helped Stacy and I start our magazine. We attended a networking group where you spoke on having a magazine, and we spoke to you afterwards and told you we want to have a magazine, and you said, hey, let me help you with that. And for me, that was a new thing, because most of the time when women are in the same field or want to do the same things, they're not so free with their information and their things, because they have this thought in their head that, oh, that's competition for me, I can't. But it's not true, because we send people your way, you send people our way, and it just works out really well to have women who do the same thing you do, for you to have a bond and a friendship and a collaboration, because you're really not hurting your business at all, because the people who are meant for you are going to come to you. And so by helping another woman, you're just making yourself look better in the business world.
Yes. Well, we each have our own individual fingerprint, and we have 2 different magazines, and we're 2 different people. So, of course, the content may be different. The way we do things may be different. And I look at it like this: being a believer, God wants as many people as possible spreading the word and pushing other women out there. It can't be just one person, and you cannot do this by yourself. You just can't. So we need each other and need to help each other, even if it's in the same industry. It's okay.
Yep. You know, my grandpa used to tell me that you have one little light. You have this little candle, but that little candle can light so many other lights around you. And the next thing you know, you're all standing in the light. There is no darkness. And so to me, that was a great testimony, because that's something that I look back on. I work with women who publish. I work with women who own other publishing companies, who self-publish. And it doesn't matter, because as long as we're all working for the same goal, the same spreading of the kingdom, the same mission in life, then it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You can collaborate with other women. You can help them out, because we all have gifts and, like you said, fingerprints. Everybody's niche is a little bit different than the next person's. My niche is not going to be yours. Yours is not going to be mine. The women who I reach out to and the women who you reach, they're going to be in a vast difference. But the fact of the matter is that we're all reaching out. And so we're reaching more women together than if we tried to each have a separate movement. If we would come together and collaborate, we can reach a whole vast number of women globally. And that's the goal.
Yes, that is the goal, is to reach women. And if we focus on that being the goal, our individual businesses or ministries should not be the focus. It just should be the goal. And whatever you have to do, whoever you have to connect with, do that. Now, you're right. You said something earlier about, normally women don't like to do that. And you were like, oh, well, I was at a place like that in my life where I was like, no, that's okay. I don't need your help. Or no, I wouldn't share, because I thought, well, they're just trying to take what I have. And God had to really deal with me on that. He's like, if you release what I've given you, because first of all, it's not yours. If you release what I have given you, watch it grow. And I was hesitant, but when I did that, I did watch it grow. And we do have to understand that it's not ours. He gave us the vision. He gave us the mission, and we have to treat it the way he called us to do it. And if we don't open it up the way he says, because he's thinking on a global level, he's not thinking about us and us two and people down the street. He's thinking on a global level. So when we open what he's given us up, then we see it grow. And
that's prosper. So true. And he's thinking on a legacy level, because we are just a moment in time. We are just this little niche, these little 50, 60, 70, 80 years, however long we walk this earth before he calls us home. There are many women who are coming after us who are going to look back on what we did today. And if you work on a level of collaboration and a movement of helping other women to stand in their own truth and to own their own words and to share their own testimonies, and you impact the next woman, we have to remember, we're not just impacting one woman, we're impacting a whole generation, all of her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I mean, it's a legacy that we're leaving, and we have to be sure that we're leaving the legacy that we want to look back when we get to the steps of the kingdom, and we have to answer for what we've done. We don't want him to say, look over here to the left to all the people you missed because you wouldn't share your gift. Or because you were holding your light so the wind couldn't catch it and I was about to start a bonfire with it. Because we only stand in this one moment. We don't understand. We can't even see. Our minds cannot even, fathom what's coming or the glory of him. We see one little speck, one little spectrum. And so if we're, sometimes I don't understand the connections that he gives me. And sometimes we feel like we've been stabbed or we've been wounded. But there's a reason for everything that we walk through. I never planned to publish. I only planned to do anthologies and help women. I was going to help you share your story in my books, and I might talk to you about it. But I never planned to be at the platform I am now. This was not my dream. You can ask Stacy when she was my business coach. I was actually just going to set up at shows and vend. That's all I was going to do. I wasn't going to do nothing but be a vendor. But it didn't work out that way because that wasn't the plan God had. And I argued with him for a little while, back and forth, but you can't outrun him. Where are you going to go? So finally I had to just surrender. But his plan for me, even with the betrayal that I walked through with publishing my first book, even with everything that he walked me through, and he was there the whole way. He knew it was coming before I did. And he gave me some signs, and I'll be honest, I was blind. I tried to give the benefit of the doubt, but he gave me some flags that said, hey, look here, be careful. But I didn't listen. And so even after I got burned, I found that even that testimony of being burned in business and being, that dealing with people who didn't honor their word or their contracts, that just gave me a platform to stand on to speak to other women on honoring your word, honoring your contracts on it. It just gave me a better platform, because then when I speak to women and say, this is what I've been through, then they say, oh, I've been through that too. I'm so glad I found you. I'm so glad I can trust you. I can tell you this because I had that same hurt, that same pain. And so we need to use those testimonies to take someone else through the fire, to bring someone else to this side. That's what we're here for. We are not here to pay the mortgage, the lights, and the water. We are here to change lives. We're here to save souls. That's what we're here for. And even in business, that's what we're here for. How you conduct yourself in business shouldn't be any different than how you conduct yourself Sunday morning. You should be the same person Friday and Saturday night as you are Sunday morning. Or when you shake their hand or you do business with them Monday through Friday. You have to be the same person. And I think that's that integrity that we have as women, we can help one another. We know what it's like to be shunned out of the big boys club. We know what it's like to be alone in business. I mean, because some of the publishing houses that are out there are all men. Some of the deals that I speak on are all men platforms. They think that little girl from East Texas, they'd be like, I don't know about that. But this little girl from East Texas put out 18 bestsellers last year. So I know that I can do it. I know it's my calling. So whether you think it's, whether somebody in that business suit or in that CEO of that big company thinks it's my calling is not my problem. God gave me my calling, so he will pave my way. Right. But I know that it's my calling to bring other women with me. It's not my calling to walk that path alone. We are supposed to walk as a sisterhood. And that to me, that's the most important thing for 2017 is sisterhood and fearless. Because I'm going to go where God leads me fearlessly. Because who am I to fear? Because God is leading the way. And I'm supposed to take my sisters with me. I'm supposed to collaborate with them. I'm supposed to uplift them. I'm supposed to encourage them. I'm supposed to help them reach their dreams and goals. Because in the end, that's how I reach mine.
Yes, it is. You said something very important, because I remember a time where I was just struggling with, okay, God, how do I do this? Nobody wants to hear about Jesus, although I love him and he's the head of my life and he's my Lord and my Savior, but nobody wants to hear about this. So how do I do ministry and business? And he had to wake me up one night and told me, your business is your ministry and your ministry is your business. And he gave me such clarity and understanding. And once I understood that, I never separated the two again. You either take it or leave it whenever I present whatever. But I've got to do what he's called me to do, because it is not mine. It is his platform. Everything that I do, the magazine, the talk show, the consulting, the book write, all that stuff, it's his platform. And who am I to say who is to come and who is to go, what I can do? That's all him. That's all him.
I think that's so true. I remember when I was first starting my business, when I first got burned and I realized I was going to have to publish. And so I wanted to do everything the right way. So I went to the Small Business Administration to get my DBA, get my paperwork and all. Well, I had my business plan written out and I had, my motto and all the things, my mission statement and everything. And, God was intertwined in all of it. And the lady from the Small Business Administration said, oh, well, that's probably not going to work in mainstream business. You're going to need to separate those two things and keep your religion separate from your business. And so I told her, I am the business. I have to speak. Therefore, there is no separation, because I can't talk to you without telling you what God has brought me through. Therefore, you're just going to have to leave my mission statement alone and I'll roll the dice. Because I knew that was not meant for me. Even though I knew that all her education and everything she had learned had taught her that it needed to be separated. But I knew in my case, I am my business and I am my ministry. I am my testimony. And it was not, there's no way I was going to be able to speak to women and say, oh, I've done all these things and it's been really great being this great businesswoman, because that's not me. I cannot speak to you without saying, if it wasn't for God, I would be messed up. It's a wonder. I mean, everyone who knows me knows my story, knows I walked through domestic violence, knows my father was a heroin addict. Statistics say I should be strung out somewhere, not living the life I'm living, because I came from a broken home and my father was a heroin. I mean, he was on FBI's Most Wanted #3. So, I mean, every statistic says this is not where I should be, but for God. And I tell them, because there are times in my life, even before I knew what it was to believe, even before I knew what it was to be protected by God, to have someone, I know my grandparents were praying, because there are times that I put myself as a young person in really harm's way and walked out with a knee scrape. I mean, walked out where I should have been dead somewhere, or, on a missing person flyer, because I was young and the lifestyle that I grew up in, it was pretty wild. And so, I knew that God had protected me in times, and my grandmother's prayers had probably been the reason that I'm still here today, because at that time I was not praying for myself. I was running pretty wild. But I knew that there was something calling me, something protecting me in all that time. And even when I walked through domestic violence for those many years, I know that he could have killed me. He came close several times. And so there was something there, some hand there protecting me, and I know it was God. And so I knew there was no way I could get up on a stage and tell women, oh, this is my business and we do really well, and here's my numbers and here's the facts and figures, because that's not me. That's not what, I can't even tell you how it came to pass. I just know that God said, you're going to share 10,000 women's stories. And I said, okay, let's get started. That was it. That was the conversation. It was over. I woke up in the middle of the night, woke my husband up and said, hey, guess what we're going to do? He was like, okay. Because that's just what it was. I mean, and I knew that I couldn't separate it. Even though she had all these facts and reasons why I should, I knew that I was called to do this by God, and he was going to open the doors, and my ministry and my business were going to have to be together. It was going to be inseparable, because in my life it's inseparable. And if that's not for them and it offends them, we probably weren't meant to do business.
That's right. Because it's gotta be, it's all together. And I just cannot remember a time after that moment ever trying to separate them again. And I encourage other women, I tell them, hey, your message is your ministry, and business may be your platform, but you bring it all together. And I found that it was a struggle when I were even trying to keep them separated. It was not prosperous. There was nothing going right. I wasn't reaching the audience I needed to reach. And I was asking why. He was like, because you're still trying to separate them, bring it all together. And you said something very important. I am the business. I am the ministry.
Mm-hmm. And so everything is us. That's why I said, no matter where you catch me at, hair up on top of my head at the Berkshires with 6 grandkids chasing me down, or usually it's the other way around, I'm chasing them down. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. This is my life. And, I'm blessed by those kids. I know I took 7 of them this summer. My friends, Stacy included, thought I was insane. I had 7 of them at once, from 1 year to 18 years. I had 7 kids in this house. But for me, that's why I do what I do. I can take June off. I can do 2 weeks with my grandkids. It's like a little mini camp we have down here. I can be the grandma. I can go to the different events. Mimi can come to the Valentine's Day dance. Mimi can come to the birthday parties with the cupcakes at your school, because that's what I wanted. That's the life I lead. I don't guarantee. We took them to the Grand Canyon year before last. That's probably not going to happen for a while, because we had 5 of them at the Grand Canyon, and oh my Lord, it was wild. But I kind of needed a leash for them, because my nerves couldn't take getting that close to the edge of the Grand Canyon. They're kind of daredevilish. But, I mean, it is what I love, and they're the reason I do what I do. I have 13 of them. Amen. They're the reason I get up every morning and do what I do. And there are some mornings that I'm just like, look, Lord, it's not a good morning. I want to sleep in. But I know I have commitments. I have, goals. I have deadlines to meet, and they're the reason that I step up and do that, because I want to leave a better world for them than the one we came into.
Amen. I do understand that. I do. And that's what I think about my grandkids and my children. And I'm like, if we don't show them that there is a better way, and like the Bible says, a more excellent way, then the world is going to show them their way, and they're going to live that, and that's not going to be good, and they'll never become who they were supposed to become off the principles of the world. And it is our job as women, as mothers, to really to push that. And even for kids that don't have parents around, I believe it's our duty to even speak to those children. Because I run into a lot of kids that their parents are not around, and they're just left to their own devices. And it really bothers me. And I was like, whatever I know, I need to be putting in them so that their life will be different. Because you don't have to be their parent. All you need to do and make a difference in somebody's life like that is tell them truth. And that's it. And they'll take it and run with it, because they're looking for something. They're hungry. They want a better way.
I know when my girls were growing up, I only had 2 girls, but I fed 8 kids every night at my table, because their friends we lived in the country, and their parents weren't home, or they were just not present. So every night my girls would drag in somebody else. My ex-husband used to call them my strays. I mean, because they were hungry for someone to tell them to do their homework, for someone to ask them how it went at school, for someone to encourage them on that project, help them with their college applications, for someone to speak into them that they could be whatever it was their dream was. They were hungry for that. And it wasn't just the physical nourishment. It was the spiritual nourishment, the loving on them, the teaching them, the training them. I mean, to this day, my girls' friends call me mom. They'll come, and they came when I married my second husband. I had a whole pew of children. My husband's children were like, who are all those kids? And my new husband, Ricky, was like, those are Teresa's kids. I mean, because they came. They're grown now, but they came because they knew this was an important day in my life. And so they come back, and now they're married. They have children of their own. They're in college. They're doing their thing. But it's our responsibility, no matter where that need is, whether it's our children or the neighborhood's children or the children at your church or the children at the community center that you volunteer at, we have to speak into them, because if not, the world's going to teach them that they're not worthy, that they're not worth anything. And they're going to fill that hole with something else, drugs, alcohol, because they're going to fill it, regardless of if they fill it with love and nourishment and encouragement, or if they chase it away with drugs and alcohol. Either way, it's going to be filled. So I think as women, it's our place.
It is so true. That's the reason why my house was the kid house when my kids were growing up. And I always wanted the kids to come to my house so I could see what was going on. And once I see their parents, then I said, oh, okay, I'd let my kids go. But you have to get involved and know what's going on at these houses you're sending your children to as well. And it's just, you're right. They will learn it from somewhere. They will.
My kids used to say, I never let them go anywhere, which is true. They never spent the night anywhere. And it's because I knew what was going on when my ex-husband was home, because my ex worked out of town a lot. But when he was home, I knew the violence that was going on in our home that no one saw from the outside. So there was no way I was sending my kids to somebody else's house that it may look pretty and nice on the outside, and then you get in there and you don't know what's going on. You don't know the corruption. You don't know those people's hearts. And so I'll be like, oh, just have your friends come stay the night with us. I'll get pizza. We'll have movies or something. They tell me now. But now my oldest has kids of her own, and she tells me the same thing. Oh, I never let her spend the night anywhere. I don't know those people. They might be nice to us now, but you don't know how they're going to be, when they get my child over there. And you just don't know what your child is walking into, because you can know those people as friends, and you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So we have to guard our children closely. And we'll teach our children to speak up to us too. If something happens, they have to have a safe zone that it's okay to tell us anything.
Wow, that's true. And that's what we have to create, is safe zones. Because they won't tell, and they will not understand any of that if we just let them go and be left to themselves. They can't solve those problems. Their mind can't even conceive it at that point. They're still immature. So we do need to leave the lines of communication open and let them not be afraid to tell us.
And we got to have boundaries for them. That was the problem when I was a child. There were no boundaries. I just had to tell my mother if I was going to come in that night. And at 14, if you're going to come in that night, really should not be an option. I mean,
that's not an option.
It was an option when I was younger. I'm just like, really? That's the question? Am I coming home? I mean, how is that even a question? My grandparents were appalled. They were like, how is that even an option? But my mother was out doing her thing. And so she was, because she was a single mother. And so she was out doing her thing. And I learned early how to manipulate, because my mother would go to the bar and the bar closed at 2. And then my mom was going to eat somewhere. So that gave me another hour while she ate at some all-night cafe or something, some truck stop. So that gave me till 3. And that meant if I was home by 3:30, I would definitely beat her in from town. So, that was, to me as a young girl, that should never have been an option. For that, she should have been home. But for another thing, I should have been reined in a little more. Because at 14, 15, we make decisions that change our entire lives in the blink of an eye. And we don't even realize that they're life-changing decisions. We get in a car with somebody who's been drinking. We go to a party with someone we don't know. Or or
True.
we drink too much, or somebody puts something in our drink, because we're naive and trusting at that age, because we don't know the evil that's out there. Even in today's world, you go online and they talk to someone, oh, I know him, he's my Facebook friend. You don't even know if that's really the person. That picture could be a Calvin Klein ad. You don't know who that is. You don't know where they live. You can make up a fake Facebook profile and put anything on there to sound good. It might be a 50-year-old man you're talking to, but they don't know the dangers at that age. And I didn't know them either. That's how come I can speak to you. I had no idea the dangers. I ran with people who were twice my age because they could buy the beer. So, this is something that, I can look back on and think, what was my mother thinking? But it is our job as mothers to make sure we're guarding that space, because our kids do not think of the long term. They don't think of what's coming. They don't think of the dangers. They don't even see the dangers. It's like driving blind and there's an S curve coming up. They have no idea, and they're hitting it full speed. And they have no idea that one little decision can be life-altering and life-changing and change who they were supposed to be. I mean, I had straight A's in high school and a full scholarship to Texas Women's University. And I blew it to marry a man who tried to destroy me the next 20 years because I didn't make good decisions. I shouldn't have even been able to make those decisions. They should have never been in my hand, but that's what we're dealing with today with our youth. They're growing up so fast. So fast. I hear things come out of my 10-year-old granddaughters that I remember when my daughters were 15 and 16, we were having that argument. And now it's happening at 10. They have cell phones. The enemy used to be outside of our homes, and now he's right here on this internet connection in our homes.
Oh, wow. Yes, comes in any kind of way, the cell phones, the TV, and it's subtle. If you don't watch it, you won't catch it. You won't catch it.
I mean, look at the cartoons. Look at the cartoons today. I've never seen that. I'd be like, that is a cartoon character? Wow.
I know.
When I was a kid, it was the Flintstones and Popeye, when my girls were little, it was the Powerpuff Girls. So, but now even the cartoons have overtones and messages and things like that subtly they're just pushing the boundaries with our kids so that they don't notice that they're getting out of God's will, or pushing just a little bit, even the overtones of the cartoons push them just a little bit out of their comfort zone. And then before long, they're lost because they didn't realize how far they had strayed. Well, I think we've lost Katrina, but this was a great show with her. I'm so glad that she decided to come on. I'm so glad that we were able to talk about these things, about working with women, about being in collaboration and being a guide and a mentor to the next generation. I'm so glad that y'all joined us today on Modern Day Woman. Thank y'all so much for being here. And y'all join us again next week as we bring you another fabulous woman. And like I said, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be a mentor to someone, to collaborate with someone, and to help them have their dreams come true. This is Teresa Hawley-Howard, your host. Y'all have a great day.